Hello everybody and welcome to your bonus round of art talk. I was thinking about this all morning. Lots and lots of you are asking me, how do I find my personal art style? What I'm going to tell you, unless you're a decently established artist and you have your basics down like anatomy, perspective, color theory, character development, emotion, don't worry about it yet. This is why, and I'm going to use anime as an example. I love anime. I love the style, it's gorgeous, especially the backgrounds they can create. God, it's beautiful. But if a young artist sees that and they don't have their basic anatomy down, they're going to be creating characters that might have a cool looking style but don't have core structure. The same thing is applicable when you're trying to find your own personal style. If you're so focused on making sure your art looks unique and recognizable, then you're going to kind of not get your core basics. It's like building a bridge. What you're trying to worry about right now with making your own style is you're trying to worry about the decorations on the pylons, you're trying to worry about what color the ropes that are suspending your bridge are. You should be worried about the base pieces right now. You should be worried about the base pieces, how long the bridge is going to be, what material the road's going to be across. Is it going to be a suspension bridge, a traditional bridge, a train bridge? You should not be worrying about the decorations. You need to be worrying about your base structures. I'm not saying that experimenting isn't a bad idea. When I was younger, I experimented all the time with my different styles. I never really had one style that I wanted to do, though. There's so many different things. Why would you want to restrict yourself to one single style just to try to be unique and recognizable? That sounds like a waste of time. It sounds like somebody who only wants to drive one car in their life, go to only one vacation spot. It sounds stupid. When I was probably around 11, 12, one of my mom's friends, who was an artist, though a grumpy old grudgy one who didn't like me very much, was looking at my sketchbook with me, and I'd drawn a very weird picture, and back then I realized that she was bullying me. But I made a very strange picture, and it had a very interesting style of face to it, and she looked at me and she's like, "Well, Miranda, that's probably going to be your style. I think you've found your style." And back then, I was like, why would that matter? It doesn't matter finding the style that early in your life. You really want to experiment. Like, literally, this is at the stage when you don't know how to draw that well. Honestly, coming from somebody who knows their anatomy at this point, sometimes it can be hard to break my own chains. Sometimes it can be hard to break habits. You are at an advantageous point where you can just go anywhere you want, do anything you want. So take advantage of that and experiment. I want to take you guys into my art room. We can look at some of my sketchbooks when I was earlier so you can see just the variety of stuff I was doing. After that, we're going to come back in here and I'm going to show you, even to this day, what bizarre variety of stuff that I create. Because even now, I don't stick to a single style. Sure, it took me a while. Here, let me say this. I drew what felt right. I never tried drawing like another artist. I drew what was in my head, and my attempts to express it were due to realism. I wanted people to see exactly what was going on in my head. That was my early style. I really wanted to be a fantasy realism artist. Now I do a bunch of different stuff, but you know what? We'll talk about that later. Let's go take my phone and have a tour of the art room that barely anybody gets to see. I showed this to you guys in one video, but let's go through it again. Now, I could show you guys my new stuff. Like, even on my walls, this is how I drew in high school, right there. And then I was experimenting with stuff like this. It's all about experimenting, really. And then in college, they had me doing stuff like that. And, sometimes, this used to be my quote-unquote style in high school. Drawing these dragons and machines and stuff. Like, I tried to go for something pretty realistic. And then there's Eidolon. And then it's interesting because I bounced from something like that to something like that. Because that was high school. This was college. See, it's actually detail-wise and the accuracy of anatomy, I went down. But it has more expression, more life to it. So it's really, I actually consider this in a way a better drawing because of the, the movement, the color. I was actually coloring in backgrounds. I didn't used to color in backgrounds. Let us go beneath the bed and pull out some really old art. I think it's in that one. So age 6, This was my style. Really kind of wacky, right? Age 7, stuff like that. And apparently that. But also, really cool looking snake lady. Getting on in years, I started being fascinated by perspective and anatomy. I was trying to experiment with color, direction, trying to make things look a bit more realistic. I think this was supposed to be my best friend. I was drawing from real life, and I think this was probably around the ages of 13, 14. Yeah, but I was drawing 2 wrestlers at a wrestling match. Again, no clue, but you know what? It's all about the process, the experiment. Here's one of the first iterations of an atomic dragon. You know what? This was 7th grade, because I remember drawing this for somebody who ended up being not a very nice person. By the way, don't ever draw something for somebody just because they like your art skills. They can end up being an asshole. I was working on shading. And here's another one of those weird things where it's just, what can I do? What can I experiment with? It's not necessarily a good picture, but it's really cool. And stuff like this. That was pretty cool. That had a lot of detail. Here's a nice one. This is one of my first attempts at background, I think. But then I was still doing stuff even like this and that. Just, and even that is horrifying. What was I drawing? Oh, that's a really cool one. That's Quickmick. And then there, look. Experimentation with style. Another experimentation with style. I never really stuck to one thing at a time. And then there. I remember showing this to a bunch of kids in the hallway and they were like, oh, well, Willow's better. Well, guess what? I'm the one who has a bunch of people I'm teaching now. So stuff you guys. Yeah. Experimenting with posing, looking more into Renaissance artists at this point because I was very fascinated with Leonardo da Vinci. Oh my god, it's one of the first iterations of Eidolon. Ooh, he looks so weird. Oh, this was a study. This is what I mean. I was doing real life studies. This was a Bionicle. You need to do real life studies if you want to get better because it trains your eye. It's Phineas and Ferb. More experimentation and different material too. That's charcoal. Even more experimentation. I remember being very, very proud of this picture because it had the glow of the lava beneath of it. It doesn't necessarily look right. And this was supposed to be, I think, the very first iterations of Shydrill, one of the Megain cities. But literally, look in this one sketchbook. Look how many different, look, even I went to the botanical gardens and I was trying to draw flowers. In this one sketchbook alone, look at the variety that I was working with. It is not about trying to find your style. It's about just drawing. Just draw. Try what feels good. If it doesn't feel good, then you know you can move on. When I was between the ages of 15 and 17 in high school, I really got a fascination with doing correct anatomy, and I would pop out stuff like that. I also got into my car phase really, really hard, and I started designing my own cars. Again, this was the stage where I was more worried about realism than anything else. Working with angles, anatomy, but still doing interesting experiments. This was also the phase that I was really depressed and half my characters had a bandage over their mouth or something. Designing fighter jets. That's an SR-71 Blackbird. Working on perspective. Look at all that perspective in that picture. So the summary of what I'm trying to tell you is that I was really focused on just trying to draw. I was not focused on trying to be an... What the heck? I was focused on trying to figure out how to do things. Oh, that's a really cute picture. I like that. That's the Eidolon after I decided to take away a stupid head spike. Here's another one. This was literally Badoom. You could see my fascination. Another one where I'm really starting to worry more about anatomy and realism. But then I started solidifying my cartoon drawings. Like, this is not as realistic as the others, but there's a lot of structure to it. And by then, I knew my anatomy well enough that I could pull something like this off. Same thing with this. Look at the movement. Look at the expression. This is only after I'd spent so many years learning my basics. Here's a weird hybrid thing. See, I was on this for my entire life, basically. But here's a study I did of my hand. I just looked at my hand and I drew it. Doing studies of ribbon so I could understand how it works. Ooh, that one's really nice. Working with really difficult perspectives. Old man cat! more studies of realism. I think this is an old compass, like the one you use to draw a circle. Ah yes, my fascination with Slender Man. Something based more on realism. Still doing goofy experiments at this age. And then jumping over to stuff like that. That's frickin' My Little Pony. That's that, you know, disco My Little Pony. Starting to like making designs. A study of a very complicated glass my parents own. And then goofy cartoons. This is when I was starting to realize that I didn't need to draw completely realistically. I could start breaking my chains and making things that looked good. Another one right there. Sadness drawing. Here's like a half step in between realism and cartoonism. This is, by the way, the time when I was starting to do Darwin Da Vinci Project, which is a project I'll take on after I'm done with the main PIRANTINA series. And now trying to figure out my own cartoon style. Literally, it's all down to experimentation. Weird crap like this. You see, even back then, I was making art that some people wouldn't consider very good. I just didn't care. Trying to work on front perspective. Working on detail. Like, literally. Wow, that's actually really cool looking. We could literally go on forever. I have so many other sketchbooks that I could show you. But literally, it's all down to experimenting. It's, oh my god, that's Mr. Simon in a bunny suit. Did I etch this in with a laser? I think I did. That's super interesting. I'm gonna steal this and put it on my wall. Oh my god! Look how edgy I thought I was. Look at this edgy Slender Man art. Oh my god, it's really, really creepy and cringy. Okay, we're going now. So my entire point with what I just showed you is that even to this day, I'm still experimenting and still expanding my boundaries. There's literally nothing stopping you. You have so many different things to do. Don't limit yourself by trying to have a recognizable art style. What do you think? You're going to stick with that art style for the rest of your life? I don't think I've ever stuck with an art style for more than 2 years. And even when I'm doing it, I'm doing other types of art styles too. People put too much weight on being an individual in the art field. People put too much weight on being unique, and it's toxic, frankly. Even these days, I still experiment. Let me just put a little slideshow over here while I talk. Even these days, I experiment. I only found my style for my webtoon when I started the webtoon. There was no build up to that. I mean, there were a few little drawings I was doing that had a similar style, but for instance, the backgrounds. I had no idea what I was going to do with the backgrounds, and frankly, I didn't care that much. I just wanted to draw. Your focus right now should be on just loving drawing. It shouldn't be on trying to make a name for yourself. It shouldn't be on trying to make yourself recognizable and unique amongst your peers. It should be on building your skills. It should be on enjoying yourself. The journey is so much fun, and you'll only get to go to that journey once. Why are you wasting your journey? Why are you wasting all the time that you're experimenting and growing into different directions? That's a complete waste if you're just trying to desperately find what will make you a unique artist of the age of 15. Like, seriously, don't worry about it. If you guys are still dead set on finding a style, this is kind of my suggestion. I suggest that you look at different famous artists. Go to Picasso, go to David, go to Degas, go to Leonardo, Caravaggio, Mondrian. Just do a nice general YouTube search for an art lesson, an art history lesson. You're going to find so many different things, so many different people. Look at cartoonists. Look at, why was I about to say David Blaine? If you want to be more of a Disney-ended style, look at the old men of animation. If you search that, you'll just find them, like a list of them, and you can just go through and look at all their different art. If you don't want to do that, all I suggest you do is keep drawing. If something feels good, then keep doing it. And if something doesn't feel good, then stop. It's as easy as that. Like, oh, wow, this line, this way I made this eye, I kind of like that. And then continue rendering it out, continue repeating it and nurturing it and altering it, letting it grow. That's generally how you get to your style. You experiment constantly, Like, you don't even have to look at other people's stuff. Just experiment with line making, experiment with the proportions of your character's face, the colors you use, the density of your lines. Is it going to be sketchy? Is it going to be solid line? Is it going to look more like rendered painting? Is it going to look more like a cartoon vector? There's so many different things that you could try experimenting with. And if one of them feels good, stick through it and see what it does. It's basically how you find a style. But even these days, you can look at all the stuff that's been over here. All of these drawings are only from the last 2 or 3 years. I have not stopped trying to make different styles. In fact, I don't know if it is easy to point out a Miranda style art unless you go directly to my webtoon, because that's really the only thing I'm consistent with, because you want to have a consistent style language for something like a comic or a webtoon. Everything else, I just let myself fly with. So I hope that helped some of you. What I want you to do, if some of you are still worried about this is what I want you to do. I want you to take one of your characters and draw them in 10 different styles. It doesn't have to be done in a day or even a week or a month. Just something to keep your mind active. Use different materials. If you have access to digital art, try it digitally. Try it traditionally. And those of you who are always doing digital art, try it digitally. Take out some markers, take out some, crayons, ink pens, I don't know. Just try different things. Try different head shapes. Try different line spacing. Try big, huge pupils or tiny pupils, crazy hair, straight hair, hair rendered in single lines, hair rendered as a giant poofy glob. There are really so many different ways you can do this. But again, you really shouldn't be focusing on it too much until you build your basics. I want you guys, before you really start worrying about your style, especially when it comes to drawing character art, get down your anatomy, get down your understanding of pose, get down your understanding of perspective, and get down your understanding of expression and character movement and story and everything else. These are a lot more important than how you happen to make a line. These are your building blocks if you're doing character stuff. And if you're more worried about landscape, I need you to worry about perspective, because it's extremely important, especially for cities. I need you to worry about atmospheric perspective. I need to worry about atmospheric coloring and coloring of lighting. And I need you to worry about mark making, like how to make different textures of landscapes. Those are your building blocks. There are other things you guys need to worry about. And this is a bit of me chastising you, but I want you to get your building blocks down first. And that includes a lot of studies, that includes a lot of experimentation, and that includes a lot of time. Becoming an artist isn't easy like that. If you want to be a good artist, you put your base down first, and then you worry about the decorations on top. I hope this helped. I hope this was an enjoyable little mini extra bonus Art Talk Thursday, even though it's a Friday. And for those of you who concurrently watch the channel, or consistently watch the channel, remember that tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone, I think that's what that stands for, we're having our Art Block Friday as per usual. I will be putting it up here on YouTube, and I hope to see you guys there. Tonight, our subject will be water, or whatever you want to take that as. Water, the deep. I have an idea in my head that I really want to draw, and I want to see what you guys will do too. As per usual, if you want to share your art, there's a link to the Discord below. If videos like this help you, please subscribe and join my tribe of art gremlins. And as per usual, drink your water, get your sleep, believe in yourself, and chase your dreams. I will see you later today. Bye-bye.